Welcome back to the Midnight Gospel, where we fall asleep into dreaming of being there in our favorite Bible stories. Tonight, we begin with the days inside the ark, after the door has closed and the rain has begun. Genesis chapter 7, when Noah and his family sit quiet inside God's promise. These aren't sermons. They're stories retold slowly to help your body rest and your soul come home back to God. This video was made to help you drift to sleep while drawing near to something holy. It's an invitation to safety, to slow, quiet days far away from the world's noise. In this story, there isn't much happening on the outside. The storm is far away. Here, hidden in the beams and shadows, soft footsteps and hushed voices fill the time. The roof holds the rain as a gentle drum. Somewhere a goat breathes. Someone smooths out a blanket and checks a handful of lentils, waiting for the next meal. Wood creaks beneath careful feet, all of it steady and unhurried. You're not a stranger here. Every task, folding cloth, sweeping the corner, listening to the hush, is part of keeping watch with God. Nothing is wasted, not even the boredom. Every hour is sacred, even the ones where nobody speaks. You don't have to stay awake for the end. Even if you fall asleep before the story closes, the peace of this place will stay with you. Let the rhythm of care and patience settle around you as the world outside is reset in silence. You don't have to listen closely. Just let it settle into your breath and rest. The boards of the ark were cool with a fine trace of nighttime mist. All the edges felt a little softer than usual. Somewhere, a slow breath pressed gently through the dark, then another, from further in the shadows. The first full morning inside the ark arrived with no fanfare. There wasn't any sunrise to see, only the old lamp's glow thrown along the planked walls and the sound above. Rain tapping in slow, patient hands. I sat a while, listening to it, counting nothing in particular. The wood creaked nearby, carrying the shifting weight of the rain. Even the animals moved slowly, as if not wanting to interrupt the silence. An ox's hoof slid just an inch. A dog stretched without barking. No one spoke. In the dimness, the ark's beams felt sturdy beneath my palm, cool, spotted with beads of water someone wiped away in the night. Walking along the narrow corridor, I trailed my fingers along the grain, following bumps and grooves older than my memory. Someone was already spooning water from the big clay jar. Each scoop was careful, as if the day might last forever. Cups lined up, all a little different, waiting for the certainty of that morning's drink. Breakfast was quiet. Flatbread, plain and damp from the air, torn and passed. A bit of lentil spread thin. No one hurried, and hunger wasn't urgent. There was more time than anyone knew what to do with. No one filled the silence with stories from before. Hands reached for food, for water, for a rolled blanket, always passing by someone else's hand without a word. Even the youngest seemed to sense that it was morning, but not a morning for noise. I heard the slow drip of water collecting in a bucket under the wall, and the faint breathing of the animals stacked above us in their stalls. Even in the stillness, the ark's walls felt alive with listening. Now and then I glanced toward the window slit, but only saw dim light. No land out there. Just the dull, gray sky and the same rain, falling steady as breath. A comfort somehow. The world was all water. Inside it was just us, a slow, careful family barely stirring. Someone shifted a basket to catch the leak in the roof, then sat again with a sigh that seemed to settle the whole room. I folded a wool cloak and set it by the stairs, found a rhythm in the smallest tasks. There was laundry to hang along a line strung from peg to peg. The air was too damp for drying, but it still felt right to try. Breakfast plates were stacked soft and crooked in the corner. The old dog curled on the boards beside my feet. I waited, then moved only when another hour seemed to have passed. It was a kind of peace, not noisy or bright or brave, just steady. Someone wiped the table twice, though it wasn't dirty. Rain fell. The animals shifted again. Let this moment stretch. We barely noticed the silence. It settled between us, making room for something steady to grow. We weren't asking for miracles. The work was waiting, as simple as breathing. Trust didn't arrive all at once. It grew with every small thing, the way a cup sat solid in my hand or the way the others shared space quietly. Even this silence is holy. No one hurried. The ark would be our world for a while. The rain could do what it liked. We had blankets, bread, and the soft presence of God moving just out of sight. The night listens with you. Some mornings on the ark started before the sun came up. There wasn't any rush, just the whisper of hay underfoot and the soft nudge of your own breath. I can still see how everything waited, slow, gentle, not asking for much. Noah's sons rose quietly, careful with every footstep. The old boards creaked beneath their slippers, but the animals barely looked up. They had learned over time that no one hurried here. The hens fluffed in their boxes. The goats blinked, drowsy. Even the lion's yawn was long and silent in the half-darkness. Each bowl of grains was held steady, poured slow. Someone folded fresh straw, arranged it into corners. We moved side by side, nodding to each other, no words needed. Sometimes Japheth would pause, smoothing the fur on a restless lamb just for a heartbeat. His hand was all reassurance. Even though he didn't say anything, the lamb stilled. It made everything slow down, too. Some chores repeat themselves, feeding, sweeping, untangling stray bits of rope. There was always room for another turn at the water jar. The wood of the bucket was worn smooth by so many hands. Everything needed care in its own time. Nothing missed its place. It used to feel endless, these ordinary tasks. But after the door was closed and only rain sounded on the roof, even the smallest chore took on weight. Feeding the doves became a kind of prayer, just by being gentle, not letting the seed scatter too quickly. The air inside the ark was always a little damp, feathers drifting, light shifting on the timbers. We learned the rhythm. Dip the bowl, offer the feed, brush the crumbs from the shelf. Over and over. Each act small enough to forget, but none of them really forgotten. Let this moment stretch, watching the children refill the water trough. Always careful not to spill. Even when it sloshed, someone would wipe it up, quiet. Ham's wife once handed him a dry rag before he could ask. A tiny kindness, barely noticed, yet it felt holy. Even this silence is holy. When the rain tapped harder, sometimes Shem would sing under his breath to soothe the oxen. It wasn't a song anyone knew, but it filled the cracks between breaths, between chores. The night listens with you, and when the last bowl was washed and set aside, we paused. Nobody spoke, but I think we all felt it. A thread of thankfulness running through the quiet. The animals lay down. The lantern flickered. For a moment, after all that slow, small work, peace held the air steady. He asked for nothing and still felt full. No one noticed the prayer, but it was heard. Here, inside the ark, with nothing to distract and nowhere to go, even repetition became devotion, silence became company, and the simplest acts were woven with grace. Let this stillness settle into your breath. The night is long, but you do not wait alone. I remember the days inside the ark after the rain had started, but before anyone knew how long the waiting would last. There wasn't much to do, not really. We settled into slow rhythms, chores with no deadline, repairs that could wait until tomorrow or the next day. We moved softly, not wanting to disturb the quiet. One morning I sat with Shem and Japheth in the shadow near the wall. A plank above us had warped, nothing dangerous, just tired. We brought our tools. The light inside was thin, filtered through the resin on narrow windows. Every sound was softer than it should have been, like the wood itself muffled us, held us in. Noah leaned in, pressing his thumb against a seam. "We'll need to brace this," he said. "That's all." Then silence. It wasn't the heavy kind. It felt gentle, like a warm blanket near dawn. A hammer tapped softly. The others moved away, washing rags in the barrel by the stall. I watched my hands pin the small board over the gap. It wasn't urgent work, just small care for a shelter that held us. Let this moment stretch. All around, the ark was speaking. Every step made the timbers answer. If you paused in the middle walk, you could hear the voice of the wood, sometimes a groan, low and long, as if it was remembering the forests it came from, and sometimes just a faint snap, like a joint settling after a long day. People adjusted quietly. If one of us dropped a bowl, no one scolded. The sound faded into the creaks and shuffles of the ark. I always noticed the smell more than the voices. Damp pitch and cedar with hints of old hay. That blend settled into the fabric of our sleeves and hair. Even when someone laughed, the rare, soft kind, the ark seemed to gather the joy close and share it back in echoes. Madge walked past carrying a basket of lentils, her feet almost silent on the boards. "You need anything," she whispered, her voice balancing between kindness and habit. "Just a moment," Japheth answered. She nodded and kept walking. The moment filled itself with the sound of the walls shifting, breathing. Words moved quietly in our house. Some days there were only a few. They slipped easily into the soft air, never trying to mean more than they were. "Even this silence is holy." We took turns tightening pegs or smoothing seams. No one told the others how to hold their tools. Sometimes our hands touched by accident, just another small comfort. There were no plans for when to finish, or what to make for lunch, or any of the things people worry about when they're waiting for storms to pass. The ark always answered us. If I pressed my ear against the side, I could hear the world outside, thin, hidden behind rain, but still there. More than that, I heard the wooden shell speaking. The ark groaned low, then settled with a sigh, resting its weight on old promises. Madge returned with her basket. She handed out bread, just 2 pieces, flat and warm, nothing more. She shared them wordlessly. We chewed, the sounds quiet but not secret. That, too, melted into the wooden hush around us. Let the stillness hold you. For hours, it seemed. The only voices were the creaks above and the soft stirring of animals somewhere deeper in the hold. Sometimes the goats muttered in their sleep. A dove rustled her feathers near the rafters. Everything seemed to listen together, the wood, the animals, the people. It was somehow a kind of family. Noah adjusted a beam, his fingers steady. He hummed just for a moment. It was not a song I knew. It didn't carry far, but I felt the ark take it in, like a secret that didn't need to be spoken. The days blurred together. Each one started and ended with wood beneath our feet. In the middle of night, I would lie awake and hear the long, deep stretching of the vessel holding us above the waters. The rain never stopped, not yet, but inside nothing felt rushed. Our breaths moved slow, in time with the boards. You can rest here. Let this quiet stay with you. Sometimes the youngest would ask questions. How long must we wait? Or what's happening outside? Most of the time, no one answered. A hand would find a shoulder. We would fill cups from the barrel and leave the questions behind. I learned to listen more for the wood than for voices. I noticed the way the ark swelled and settled as the air changed. The planks stitched themselves into a long exhale. At dusk, a golden band of light would fall across the wall, highlighting the careful work we had done that day, marks of hands that loved, not out of worry, but because there was nothing else to do. The promise of dry land lived far away from sight. What we had was this, each other, and the slow voice of the ark. It became our lullaby, a faithful old vessel, whispering that we were held. Anything we spoke felt small beside it. Even now, as sleep comes, I remember how the wood listened to us and we listened back. Nothing else ever felt so safe. The night listens with you. Let the ark's creaks and groans settle into your thoughts. Let the pauses between words bear the weight of all you carry. Let even the plainest, quiet days become their own kind of prayer, heard and held as the rain falls above and the wood answers below. The rain fell all through the night. It was quiet but never quite silent. Always the gentle patter, the tap-tap, as the drops met wood above. She rose, calm and slow, before many others in the ark. The straw beneath her creaked as she stood. Her feet, warm against the worn boards, felt the weight of a new day that looked much like the last. She didn't hurry. There was nothing to chase. Up a narrow ladder she carried a cloth, folded the night before, when the lamps were dim. Old habit. Her mother had shown her how cloth, even just a small one, could turn a chore into something softer. The window, a single square, just big enough for light and hope, waited high at the ark's crest, wet with mist. Sometimes just a sheen of water. Sometimes little puddles trembled at the sill, lit from the gray sky beyond. She pressed the cloth to the glass. She moved in slow circles, clearing away what the night had left. The rain had not tired. It threaded down steady like someone humming a song with no end. She didn't mind. Let this moment stretch. She looked beyond the pain. There was no horizon, just pale sky like a bedsheet unwrinkled and the patient fall of rain. Sometimes a bird, dark, quick, crossed far above. Mostly just light the color of quiet water. Nothing changed. She stood there. She breathed and the air felt cool and deep inside her chest. She wiped the window again, though it was mostly clean. Below, the voices of family gathered, some already talking, some still dreaming, all held close by the ark's gentle sway. She listened, then let it drift away like old worries softening in the dusk. Even this silence is holy. She watched the window not to see something new, but to see and let it be enough. Her task was not to solve the sky or name its quiet. Someone might call to her. A goat might bleat. Water in a basin might need stirring soon. But for now, just her, cloth and glass and patient rain. The days in the ark ran together, loose beads on a single string. There were mornings after mornings. evenings braided with others until time blurred at the edges. Still, every day the window needed wiping. Every day she saw the sky just as it was, not as she wished it to be. Sometimes she'd press her finger to a drop and watch it split, running down the pane. She would count the drops just for a moment before letting go. Let the hours drift, she dreamed sometimes with her eyes open, of the world they'd left behind, not with sharp longing but with a calm acceptance. She remembered how the forest once smelled after rain. But inside the ark the scent was different. Wood, straw, oil from a broken jar, bread rising near the stove. She let those memories pass by like the rain outside, present but not pulling her away. The night listens with you once, a child's hand pressed beside her own, smudging the glass again. The little one giggled. She smiled and wiped a fresh space clean. Seeing through the window wasn't about what waited outside. It was about showing the world again and again that they were still here, keeping faith in this small way. A clean window, a glimpse of God's world through water. She didn't ask how long the rain would last. That belonged to someone else, above her, beyond her, maybe to God alone. She watched, she wiped. If hope lived anywhere, tonight it lived in this gentle, daily seeing, without needing more. In the afternoons, she'd sometimes bring a pail of water, not because the glass needed more rain, but because she liked the rhythm, dip, squeeze, circle, breathe. Her arms would ache, her back bow just slightly, and that was good. To feel a body working, even in small things, was a prayer no one spoke aloud. Noah passed once, just a shadow in the narrow light. He nodded and she nodded back. Nothing needed saying. Trust lives in quiet places, she thought, like seeds asleep beneath heavy soil. The day slid forward. She shared bread with a sister by the window, the crust still warm, the crumbs soft. They sat, knees touching. The older one traced a finger down the glass. The younger one listened to the rain. They ate, wordless. Let this moment stretch, nothing rushed them. The steady fall of water marked the hours. Sometimes she watched the sky just to watch. The color changed, gray to white, then deeper again. Sometimes she closed her eyes and the sound in her head was the same as the sound in the world. Rain on wood, heart in chest, breath in and out. Sometimes someone brought news, a handful of barley, a chick hatched below, a sandal mended. She let it wash through her like cool water. Even good news was gentle here. There would be time. Her task was the same in the storm as in the sunlight. See what is, not what is missing. The ark held all she loved. The window held all she could not hold. Both were gifts set apart by patient hands. She felt safe. Not because the world outside was safe, but because whatever waited beyond the pale sky, she trusted the builder and the promise. Even now, after so many rains, the promise had not changed. Some nights she let her forehead rest against the cool glass, eyes closed, hands folded quiet. Even this silence is holy. The rain kept falling. The ark did not hurry. The family did not hurry. She found herself measured by the slow heartbeat of the world remade. Meals came and went. Shadows thickened, then melted. She wiped the window at dusk, again and again, making it clean, making herself ready. Each night she lingered just a little, looking at clouds too pale to carry stories. No need to dream forward, no need to wish. Here was enough: sky, rain, breath, the small lamp burning behind her. Nothing more was asked. She asked for nothing and still felt full. The rain on the roof softened just a little. She slipped the cloth flat along the sill, folded it as her mother once had for another day. Close by, the voices of family, dusk prayers, the call of animals preparing for sleep. She left the window calm, certain, not empty, washed sight, a day finished without striving, without ache. Even if the world was hidden, faith was not. She walked away slowly, trusting that the next dawn would hold more of the same. The night listens with you. Let this moment stretch. God waits, as patient as rain. It's night again. Most days feel the same, maybe that's what makes them holy. Long hushes between the voices. Rain tapping the wood in a way that never changes. Sometimes it's louder. Tonight it sounds like 1,000 soft feet walking above us. No rush. There's nowhere new to be, so everyone moves slow. Noah sits across the room, mending a rope. Someone else is writing quietly with charcoal on a scrap of wood, but I can't read it from here. The animals have quieted, their breath is steady, like the world itself is tired. We prepare the meal as we always do. It isn't a hunger that brings us together, not anymore. It's just the next thing. The oil lamp is knocked a little to the side. Its glow falls on a stone bowl. My hands are busy there, even if my mind is already half asleep. The oil is thick tonight, slow to pour. It draws its own shape around the inside of the bowl, a little ring of gold holding the day's last warmth. I press lentils inside with the back of a spoon. Flatbread waits to the side, almost forgotten. Each movement is careful but not important. No one hurries. Let this moment stretch. Someone is grinding spice with a small stone. The scraping is gentle, almost like someone humming. A few seeds and herbs, nothing more. The scent comes in quiet waves, first earthy, then sweet, then nothing at all. The meal becomes itself just in being assembled, not made to impress, not even meant to last. It will be enough. Even the fire is slow. Flames flicker low, swallowing the cold, but not much else. We have learned to love small fires, to feed them leftovers, to listen to how oil sputters, how it finds its own pace before quieting. I think of outside, water against the walls, but only for a breath. The ark is its own world now. Here, shadows climb the wood. Some stretch into corners and stay there until morning. I don't mind them. There is a comfort in knowing you are surrounded by the same walls, the same hand, the same meal as yesterday and maybe tomorrow too. Let even this silence be holy. We pass the bowl around, not to fill, only to taste. It's easier at night. No one asks for more than is needed. No one measures. The oil settles across the flatbread and it is warm where it touches your palm. In the hush, I hear a hint of gratitude, though no one says it out loud. He asked for nothing and still felt full. A sip of water, a slow swallow, my eyes find the lamp's flame where oil and fire meet. Every meal feels borrowed but safe. We have learned what is enough. Someone slices an onion into the bowl. The knife makes a soft click against the stone. I watch the way the slices fall, almost perfect, almost the same. Every now and then a breath, a pause to wipe hands on a folded cloth. Sometimes a prayer, but mostly pauses. No one notices the prayer, but it was heard. Sleep slants in the corners. Soon someone will stretch and yawn, and that will mean it's time to put the meal away. Even this ordinary tiredness is sacred, the body resting after patience, after trust. I try to remember days before this, how we used to eat with the sand cold beneath our feet, how the market smelled, how laughter would tumble through rooms that weren't swaying. But the memory is slow. It doesn't pull me away. Tonight, my memory is here, along with everyone else's. Nothing happened, but everything is different for having waited. Let this gentle boredom hold you. The meal is finished. The fire burns itself low, then lower still. Someone stacks the bowls. For a moment, the lamp light makes everyone's face seem softer. The room shrinks to its quietest size, just enough for the warmth to touch everyone at once. We don't talk about God's promises, but they are here in the way spices linger, in the way we trust this bread will last. God walks among us in patience. The holy is in the monotony. The holy is in the breath after chewing. Even now, as the lamp is trimmed, I can feel the sacredness of letting the meal become memory. There's nothing left to do but rest. Let your breath soften. Let the night hold you. The rain hasn't stopped. Neither have we. Another meal, another day, the same slow grace. We bring the lamps near the beds and wait for tomorrow to arrive, one uneventful moment at a time. As you drift, know that you share these shadows. You taste the same warmth. You are kept for now in this ark of quietness, and that is more than enough. The rain sounded the same today as it did the day before, a soft, endless tapping above my head like someone drumming their fingers along an old table. I lay on a folded rug, counting my own breaths, letting the sounds fill the empty spaces inside me. My body felt heavy but safe, tucked beneath beams that had held for nights and mornings and nights again. If I listened carefully, I could hear the wood creak with the rhythm of the water outside. Older than words, that song no one spoke, not even the animals. There was a peace in the hush, a kind of soft agreement that today would pass like the others, unhurried. I noticed the rise and fall of something alive on every side, a sheep shifting in its sleep, the slow snuffle of a goat, my father's deep breath from across the small room. The air tasted of straw and rain. My chest moved only when it had to, not from fear or hope, just because breathing is what bodies do. Let this moment stretch. The ark was quiet but never silent. Wooden beams whispered to each other, carrying stories I didn't need to understand. Some mornings I would trace a knot in the timber with my finger, feeling the cool, rough truth of it. It was enough to just be here. There was no need to ask for anything. I closed my eyes for a long time, not asleep, not fully awake. I heard the gentle drip from a leak someone had patched with bitumen, each drop falling into a shallow cup, catching the slow rhythm of waiting. Even this silence is holy. A dove slept near my foot, feathers fluffed in a small, perfect circle. Sometimes I wondered if the animals prayed or if the way they breathed was enough. Maybe praying is just being here, inside a promise, not needing to explain. My mother's hands folded cloth in the corner, careful and slow. She hummed once, so low I couldn't catch the tune. It might have been a lullaby for herself. There was no news, nothing to plan or question. I listened to my heartbeat, soft, steady, reminding me I hadn't asked for anything, and yet somehow I was held. When the wind found its way through a crack, I turned my face to it, just to feel something different. It reminded me of the world outside, washed clean and waiting. But that world could wait. Here in the quiet, we had everything we needed. The night listens with you. My brother dropped a cup once, and it rolled, slow and harmless, across the planks. He didn't say sorry. No one minded. The noise faded back into the hush, as if the ark itself forgave interruptions. There was an hour after that, maybe more, where nothing much happened. Someone yawned. Someone stirred a pot that didn't need stirring. The animals settled again. I listened to the shape of my own breath, the rain above, the hush below. Sometimes I thought about prayers I'd heard before, the big words, the long asking. But today there was only being. No words, only hearts, bodies, breath. Even this quiet counted. Maybe the only real prayer was staying alive together, inside the beams, beneath the steady song of rain. I didn't try to name the silence. I just welcomed it. Let this quiet go on. Let the boredom be sacred. Sleep comes easy when you know the roof will hold and you're inside a promise. He asked for nothing and still felt full. No one noticed the prayer, but it was heard. You learn the rhythm of sweeping, not hurried, not slow, just steady. The old straw shifts and sighs as you move it, dragging a bundle of dry grass across the planks. It brushes past your toes, catches on your heel, sticks to the bottoms of your sandals no matter how many times you tap them. Nearby, goats shuffle to the noise. Somewhere along the narrow walkways, a low conversation moves between two voices. They're not close enough to make out the words. It's only the sound of living, low laughter, a name repeated gently, a pause while someone listens. The straw is a map of the days. What was clean this morning is soft and dull by afternoon. Dust is everywhere, not wholly, just real. Caught in the corners, still golden in the lantern light, it gathers without asking. You sweep a little, and again it returns as if the floor itself is growing its own blanket. Your arms don't tire. They just move the broom, mindful, like copying a letter into soft clay. Every sweep, left to right, pushes yesterday further away. A sheep snorts behind you and you nearly smile. You wonder if the world outside is still water. The rain above makes its low, even drum. It has become the sound inside your mind. It helps the sweeping go more quietly. Let this moment stretch in the corner. Someone stacks old straw in a pile for tomorrow, not to throw away, just to move out of the path for a while. The fresh straw goes where the animals sleep. You notice how everything circles back, tending, folding, sweeping. Nothing is finished, but nothing is undone either. Your knuckles are brown and plain. They do their work with a kind of hush, as if the whole ark needs you to stay gentle. Some bits of straw catch in the cracks of the wood. You crouch, brush them out with your fingers, patient and almost blank. Even this silence is holy. You don't speak. There is no prayer said aloud. But your mind wanders to God, the quiet part, the idea of being watched, not judged. Each sweep feels seen, not special, just noticed. You remember the old stories when the earth was a garden and work was not a curse. You don't reach for meaning, you just sweep. Outside, the rain falls and falls, slow as a tired heartbeat. Somewhere, a child's shoe bounces off a barrel and rolls. Someone laughs again. It doesn't matter what is said. The ark answers them with a hush. Some days the work feels new. Most days it's just the same. You wonder if that is the point. That the ark keeps living because people keep tending it. Not with grand gestures, but with the slow brush of straw, the patient hands stacking, the bodies moving quietly together. The night listens with you. When you finish the corner, you stand and stretch your back. Dust hangs in the air, little suns in the dim afternoon. You watch it spin down, land again. Breathing is easy now. The world is smaller inside the ark. It fits in the soft grip of your hand holding the broom. This is what is left to do when everything outside is washed away. He asked for nothing and still felt full. There are no miracles here, only straw, dust, hands, and slow, steady breath. You trust that it matters just enough. The ark keeps clean. The animals rest. Your family waits quietly together for the day when new ground appears. Let the quiet keep you. Even if you fall asleep before this work is done, the sweeping continues, and you are safe inside the gentle, sacred boredom of patience. References: Genesis 7, the story of Noah and the flood, themes of labor, waiting, and faith. There is a quiet place near the end of the ark tucked behind stacks of empty baskets and jars, somewhere the animals never wander. It isn't hidden. It's just a little forgotten. The oil lamp there burns small, more wick than flame, flickering against thick wooden walls. Besides it sits a roll of ordinary scroll, smoothed flat on the top of a crate, and a pot of ink whose rim is always dry before it is empty. Most nights, after the others drift toward sleep, someone slips away to this place. She isn't much noticed. She is not the keeper of the roof pitch or the one who sets traps for sparrows. She folds cloth, wipes bowls, sweeps breadcrumbs, and listens when one of the goats coughs through the night. And after the work, as the huddle of her family breathes softly in tangled piles of blankets, she takes up the reed. It's an old habit. Some evenings she waits for words, but tonight the words come, slow and small, like footprints through dust that no one will ever sweep away. Each letter is hard to see at first, then shows itself, then settles in place. There is nothing important to say. The world outside is water and sky. The world inside is baskets, hands, feet, straw. The animals sleep. The rain hums on the roof in a steady, patient rhythm. Some hours, the gentle tapping is the only living sound she can find. It soothes her, the sameness of it. This, too, becomes her prayer. She does not write letters for others to open. She does not sign her name or leave a mark anyone will remember. She writes because the days go on and each one wants to be seen. She writes because she is here and God is, too, even if no one else is watching. Between the lines, she lets herself breathe, not as someone telling a story, but as someone letting the days stack up gently, one on the other, like folded linen in a basket. No one asks her what she's doing. No one waits for her words. The lamp throws shadows across the scroll and her hand moves again and again, following the quiet rhythm of her small devotion. Sometimes she forgets where her sentence began. Sometimes she lets the ink run past the edge of the page. There's no audience for this. There's only the gentle hush of obedience and a wish, half asleep, that each line would become a kind of seeing just for God. She writes of the small things, the way the eldest pats dust from her sandals after chores, the sound of beans poured into a pot, the little boy's curls sticking up after a nap in the straw, a broken spoon, mended neatly with a bit of thread. These are not the miracles folks always wait for, but for her they are a liturgy, the visible daily proof that the world has not ended yet, that there is still kindness, still laughter, still bread to eat and skins to mend. Some days she writes little more than dates: the 43rd morning, the 7th string of clear weather, the second time she dreamt of land. She traces the curve of each number with care, not to remember but to make it true. Time